So, hello.
Welcome to the National University of Ireland, Galway, the place that rewards everything you are, the university of you, for you. Your campus, where you work hard and play hard, where you are surrounded by history and are part of a campus re-engineering for a sustainable future, right in the heart of Galway City. Your where you think hard and explore hard, where innovation is driven and purpose is discovered, with world-class research facilities and strong industry partnerships. Your student life, where you laugh hard and you run hard, where your fun happens and your friendships are made. 110 societies, 50 clubs, and state-of-the-art sporting facilities. Your support, where you land hard and you get up again, where you can depend on us to help you along the way with career development, disability support, financial advice and access support. Your education, where you learn hard and where you explore infinite possibilities. Where your performance excels, your passions are explored and your achievements are rewarded. Where you become. With over 70 undergraduate courses and inspiring minds for 175 years. This is your future. This is NUI Galway.
You're muted.
Sorry there, guys. So, hello all, and welcome everybody to the J.E. Cairns School of Business Economics TY Taste today. My name is Gareth, and I'm a Marketing and Student Recruitment Executive here at the school. I'm also a recent Bachelor of Commerce graduate who will be hosting today's event. So, there will be a Q&A function in the chat. So, please, if you have any questions throughout today, please just post them in the chat, and we'll get to them straight away. So it's a clear day here today in Galway, and I think I speak for all in the school in saying we wish we could welcome you all today in person and show off our beautiful campus located here in the heart of Galway City. Unfortunately, we can't, but however, hopefully with everyone being in TY, there will be many future events held in the university in upcoming years and different open days as well, and we hopefully will be welcome you in person as well. So just moving forward, I'd like to just go through the schedule of events for today. Firstly, our head of school, Professor Mccarthy, will be joining us to welcome you all today to today's event, and will speak about the history of the J.E. Cairns School of Business Economics. Then we'll be joined by Miss Mary Barrett, who will be speaking all about the accounting discipline here at the school. After that, Dr. Owen Whelan from our Business Information Systems discipline will be joining us. At 10:50 will be our first 20-minute break, so you can stretch your legs, grab a cuppa. Then at 11:10, Professor Paddy Gillespie will be joining us from our economics discipline and speaking all about what studying economics entails. Then Dr. Denise Holland will be presenting all about the discipline of management. Finally, the last of our discipline presentations, Dr. Elaine Wallace will be speaking all about studying marketing here at the school. Then our second break will be at 10:20, another chance to grab a cuppa. And then finally, we'll return at 12:30 for a quick Kahoot, all about everything that's been presented today. You know, test your knowledge, see what we retained about all the presentations today. And then finally, the last 10 minutes at 10:50 will be the last Q&A and any final words, any questions you might have about studying business here in NUI Galway. So lastly, then, I would just like to pass over to our head of school, Professor Mccarthy, who will be greeting you all today.
Thanks, Gareth, and I want to warmly welcome all of you on today. We have a big number from around the country, so it's wonderful to invite you, and I'm delighted to present to you here this morning about our school. So our school is entitled the J.E. Cairns School of Business and Economics, and just a little bit about who John Elliott Cairns was. We have put up there on the slide as to the backdrop in terms of where we draw our inspiration from. So NUI Galway is around a long time as an institution. It was established back in 1845, and I suppose when you think about NUI Galway, if you have come across some of the imagery, what's famous really is the quadrangle building, and that was the building that was built in 1845, what was known as Queen's College, Galway back then. So we have a long history in the education sector, and the School of Business was formerly the Faculty of Commerce, and that's in existence over 100 years. We have experience in business education also. So John Elliott Cairns was a very prominent and important economist back in the late 1800s, and he worked at NUI Galway, and he was very prolific, and that's why the school is called after John Elliott Cairns. So we are very much focused on today in terms of 2021, delivering a business education that is innovative, really focused on evidence-based research, ensuring that you will develop the critical skills that's needed to be successful in the various roles and broad disciplines of business and economics. If you want to move the slide on there, Gareth, please. So our mission, so when we talk about a mission, it's kind of what is our kind of purpose and what do we try to achieve. It's to deliver a high impact scholarly environment where you as prospective students become well-rounded and employable business and economics graduates, in which faculty are the lecturers who teach you, that we contribute to society, industry and academia in terms of quality research and engagement with our business and industry nationally and internationally. So that is our ambition, and our mission is to, if you come and you're a student here at NUI Galway in our business school, that you will have a really positive and impactful learning experience, and you go out to have a successful career in business thereafter. Thanks, Gareth. You might move on there. We are very proud of some of our key sort of kite marks in terms of quality achievements. So we have just achieved double ACSB accreditation. It's the logo on the left-hand side there, and this is the the sort of world standard of excellence for business school education in the world. So it's an American-based accreditation body, and they only accredit the best business schools, and we have just got that accolade after 5 years of preparation for it. So we're very pleased with that. A very small number of leading business schools in the world have that accreditation. NUI Galway itself is recognised in the top 1% of universities in the QS World rankings. So as an institution more broadly, we rank very highly in the international rankings for our research impact and the quality of the educational experience we deliver. We have achieved a bronze award for Athena Swan, which is focused on equality, diversity and inclusion last year. We've won a number of postgraduate national awards for our postgraduate programs, which are programs you could study after doing an undergraduate if you so wish. And we have an accreditation with AMBA, which is the second last there in the slide, and we're a member of Enlight, which is a new European consortium for with about 9 universities across Europe that opens up opportunities for studying abroad, etc. And on the left-hand side of the slide there is the front of the Cairns building in which the school is located. So that's the older part. It was formerly a friary, and at the side of that is a nice new extension. So we have some fantastic facilities and infrastructure which you would see when you come on campus. And as Gareth said, we look forward to being able to welcome people on campus in due course. The next slide there, Gareth, please. What's always of interest to students, and you know, you're at a critical point in time now where you're trying to make decisions about maybe what Leaving Cert subjects you're choosing, or you might have done so already, and thinking about what you might put on CAO in a couple of years' time. It's always useful to think about, where do our graduates end up? So if you study a business or economics course at NUI Galway, what can you do? And the answer is you could do many, many things, and there's a very broad range of careers and jobs that people can go into. Here are just some of our graduates. Annette Donnelly is Managing Director with Sony Music Ireland. Aubrey Dolan is a senior product manager with Adidas and has worked with Messi on designing runners. Gareth was telling me yesterday. Erica Fox is a social media influencer who's one of our graduates from the BCom, and she's based in New York. And Adrian Jones is managing director with Goldman Sachs, again based in New York, and is connected with us and has advised us in the business school in terms of our future and our strategy. So we've many more graduates we could put up. We're very proud of our successful graduates based on the education they get here. Gareth, you might move on, please. The NUI Galway also has a number of presidents that have been students here. So the President of Ireland, Michael D. Higgins, studied here at NUI Galway. He studied arts. The President of NUI Galway at the moment, Professor Kieran O'Hogarth, studied Bachelor of Commerce program within the business school, and the president of the Business Studies Teachers Association of Ireland, Margaret MacDonald, is one of our graduates as well. So we have many presidents who reached the pinnacle of their success. We're very proud to say are our graduates. Some of our university partners internationally, we've put up there some of the logos. We have partner institutions in the United States, in the Southern Hemisphere there, in Australia, in Hong Kong, in Europe. You can see there the different logos. And what this means is that in some of our programs, you have the opportunity to have an international placement or study abroad, and that is a fantastic opportunity for students where you can get to go to our partner institutions for 6 months or for a full year, depending on what you want to do, and there's lots more information available on that later. So I just want to finish up there, and I'm going to hand back to Gareth, and I hope you really find this session useful. I would encourage you to use the Q&A, and we'll answer as many questions as we possibly can. And please don't be afraid to ever reach out if you have questions about any of the courses and any of the areas in the School of Business and Economics. Thank you.
So thank you, yes, Anna. So speaking all about the school as well, I'd just like to pass over as well just to Mary Barrett, who, as we said, we're talking all about accountancy and finance here at NUI Galway.
You're muted there, Mary.
Thank you. I'm so sorry. Sorry, everybody, and good morning. And I'm delighted to welcome you to this event and to be able to speak to you at this event today and to talk about accounting careers, so careers in accounting and finance. So I'm a lecturer at the accounting and finance discipline here at NUI.
Sorry, Mary, you're muted again there, Mary. Not sure.
Hi, I'm so sorry. I'm not sure how I'm muting myself. One moment and I'll just fix that. Yeah, I think I should be okay now. Okay, apologies, everybody. So what can go wrong will go wrong, but that's okay. So to give you a background, I'm a member of the Accounting and Finance discipline here at NUI Galway. We're a group of 14 academics at the moment, and we teach accounting and finance to a range of undergraduate and postgraduate students across the university. We're all professionally qualified accountants, which means we've all worked in industry or practice. We are members of professional accounting bodies, and so we have industry experience, which we bring into our teaching. We're also a research active community, so we undertake accounting research and we publish in top ranking academic journals. So I suppose as a community, we're experienced and we're enthusiastic about our subject area, and we hope that we bring that across through our teaching within our programs. Just to give you an idea of programs that we contribute to at undergraduate level, we contribute to our Bachelor of Commerce programs, which will obviously include our Bachelor of Commerce Global Experience and with our languages French, German, Spanish and Gaeilge. We also teach on our Bachelor of Commerce Accounting program, which is a more niche and specialist program in accounting, our Bachelor of Science and Business Information Systems, Financial Maths and Economics, Project and Construction Management, and then Bachelors of Law and Business, Law and Taxation, and Bachelor of Science and Biotechnology. Now, we also teach on into or postgraduate programs, those that we manage ourselves, which would be the Masters of Accounting, Masters of International Accounting and Analytics and Corporate Finance. And then we also contribute to other more generic programs in business, like the Higher Diploma in Business, in Financial Analysis, our MBA, Masters of Business Administration, and then MSc in Biotechnology, Biomedical Science, Regenerative Medicine, Cellular Manufacturing and Therapy, and Literature and Publishing. And I suppose while you would expect that we would contribute to primarily accounting and business programs, you mightn't expect to see biotechnology and cellular manufacturing up there, or literature and publishing. But I suppose the reason, and these are just the programs that I have taught into, we probably have more that I should put on the screen, like engineering. But the reason that we contribute to these programs is that accounting is the language of business. And whether you are working in a retailer, or you're working in a bank, or you're working in the public sector, or you're working in a theatre, or you're working for a pharmaceutical company, what they have in common is they will have to manage funds, they will have to attract funding, they will have to pay employees, and accounting is the way in which we communicate all of those tasks. And so it is important that accounting is taught on those programs as well. If we were to Google what are accountants, so into the search engine Google, I put accountants, are accountants, and it comes up with a list: smart, boring, rich, in demand, happy, or in demand in Canada. And so what I wanted to do was just bring you through this morning a couple of kind of looking at those in a little bit more detail. So are accountants smart? Yes, I think we are smart, and we're certainly well qualified or well educated in our subject area. So for us to use the term accountant, generally when we refer to accountants, we're referring to members of a professional accounting body, whether that be Chartered Accountants Ireland, ACCA, CIMA, CPA, or the Institute of Taxation. We're all members of professional accounting bodies, so we have a professional qualification, and usually that's on top of an undergraduate degree, maybe in business, or a postgraduate degree, maybe a master's as well. So certainly we are well qualified and well educated in our area. And generally, if you embark on maybe an accounting degree or a business degree, you probably have 2 or 3 more years of exams in front of you on completion of that, and that depends on what subject choices you take and what exemptions you get from those professional accounting bodies after your study with us. And we have a lot of exemptions from our programs. In addition, many accountants will take further post-qualification specialisation. So for example, I might be a member of Chartered Accountants Ireland as an accountant first, and I might then take a specialisation in taxation and become a member of the Irish Taxation Institute. We often get asked, or we often get told, oh, you must be very good at maths, you must be a genius at maths. You definitely don't have to be a genius at maths to be an accountant. You have to like figures, yes, but certainly you don't have to be a genius at maths or have honours maths at Leaving Cert level to be an accountant. Look, we have computers, we have calculators, we have spreadsheets that take care of a lot of the information in the background. There's an awful lot more to accounting than just numbers themselves. So are accountants smart? Well, what we would always say to you is that if you look at the boardrooms of organisations across the world, you'll see that accountants are there in very significant, important roles and part of the decision-making process. And the FT, in their magazine in June 2018, published an article saying that the CFOs rise to CEOs as companies embrace mergers and acquisitions, that more and more CFOs are becoming CEOs. So very often, if you look at, as I say, that board of directors in companies, you will see that many of the directors have accounting professional qualifications. The Institute of Chartered Accountants in England and Wales estimate that about 1/5 of the CEOs of the top FTSE 100 companies actually have a professional accounting qualification. And the economists are actually concerned about the degree of power that accountants have, that chief financial officers are amassing a worrying amount of power. So certainly we are well qualified, and we use our qualifications well to advance within organisations and to contribute at a very senior and strategic level within organisations. Are accountants boring? This is something we definitely hear quite a lot. There is definitely a stereotype with accountants that we're boring. And all I can say is that not very many of accountants that I've met are actually boring. And certainly our students are by no means boring. So I think really that is a stereotype. I suppose working with figures and working with computers, there's often that stereotype, but certainly we don't see ourselves as boring. And the roles that we have within organisations, you know, historically we might be seen as being hidden hidden in the back office, the accountant with the calculator or the computer. That's not the case anymore. Accountants must be important members of management teams, and so we're definitely not boring. Now, if you were to look at the movie The Accountant and Ben Affleck's role within that, it certainly wouldn't be considered boring, but I'm not saying by any means that we have roles in any way like that. But it's not the traditional boring perspective of an accountant either. The types of work that we do really are built around problem solving. So our role within organisations is to provide information to make sure that there are effective decisions being made, and then to evaluate those decisions and to help shape strategy of organisations going forward. So we need to be comfortable with numbers. We need to be able to analyse things and come to conclusions at the end of that. But communication is a huge part of our role and is a very important aspect of an accountant's role. So we communicate business outcomes, and we also have leadership roles. So we will manage teams of other accountants, and then, as I say, move upwards in general management within organisation. And so we have to have leadership skills as well. We're certainly, again, often there can be the term creative accounting. Creative accounting is not something that we promote, that it will lead to jail time. So it's very important as part of your studies that you study law and ethics, and you will study that during your time with us to make sure that you're working within the law, that you were doing things that are correct and proper and ethically sound. So certainly we don't want any of our graduates to end up in a position where there'll be jail time or guns. That's definitely not the case. But we are always aware of accounting scandals that are out there, and we work as a profession to regulate and ensure that we are acting professionally and properly. So in terms of career paths, if you decide to pursue a career in accounting, where will you end up, or what opportunities are available to you? So first of all, there's the whole area of practice. So in practice, you might have a number of accountants working together that service a number of clients, and those clients may require an audit to be produced. They may need their tax returns submitted and some advice with regard to taxation compliance and tax planning, and generally overall advisory services like in the area of funding or attracting further investment and effective planning into the future. So that's all within the area of practice. Within industry, then, you could work for larger organisations. So in practice, you might see on the right of the screen here the most famous and largest accounting firms in the world: PricewaterhouseCoopers, Deloitte, Ernst & Young and KPMG. So many of our students would start off with contracts with those firms. Or you could go straight into industry, or you could go into industry later. So industry would be working for the likes of Google, Facebook, CRH, Kingspan. So you're working for organisations as an accountant, again advising them on tax, collating their information in financial roles, reporting and internal audit. So those are different type of roles that you might have. Or you could work in specialised industry, for example in fund accounting. So there you're managing shares and working in more of a finance role and reporting on the operation of those funds. So this list of employers here are simply just the list that I took from my own LinkedIn network of where I know my students have gone to work in the last number of years, and there are obviously many, many more. Overall, in terms of career path, what you'll find is this area here, 23% of accountants, and this is taken from a Leinster Society Chartered Accountant survey. So 23% of accountants are working in practice, about 62% are working in industry, and then we have a smaller percentage in the public sector, some retired, some on breaks or unemployed, and you know, some will take time to go travelling under normal circumstances, etc. But the vast majority will work in industry. So you might start off in practice and train in practice and move into industry, or you could start off in industry straight away. But there are basically any organisation that deals with money, whether that's public sector, private sector, charity organisations, will have to have someone to look after that money and advise them on it, and therefore accountants will have a role. In terms of what we teach at NUI Galway, we teach core areas of accounting and finance, so financial reporting, so that's financial accounting as you know it, which is producing your statement of profit and loss and your balance sheet and all that goes with that. We teach that as a compulsory subject to all first years on our business programmes, and then thereafter you can choose to specialise more in it and take further optional subjects. Management accounting is taught, again, across all years in our programmes as optional, but first year and second year are compulsory for the majority of our business programmes. Business finance is compulsory in second year on our business programs, and then again optional for final year. Taxation, we wait until you're in third year if you want to specialise in taxation, to teach taxation. And all of our accounting and finance students are advised to take business law options, because we need to work within the law and have an understanding of the law as accountants. We often get asked, do you need to have studied accounting at leaving cert? And what I would say is generally no. For most of our offerings, for the Bachelor of Commerce and all the variants of that, global experience, languages, no, you don't need to. Not for business information systems or the business and law programme. So generally we start out with a first year group, and I normally teach that first year group, and we would have about 60% of the class who haven't taken leaving cert accounting and about 40% who have. So we start at the very beginning so that you're not disadvantaged if you haven't taken it. However, for the Bachelor of Commerce Accounting programme, this is a specialist niche programme where students have taken Leaving Cert Accounting and want to specialise in accounting straight away. So that's for the students who know they want to pursue an accounting career and don't want to kind of wait for everyone else to catch up with them. So for those students for that programme, you do have to take a Leaving Cert Accounting and achieved at higher level a minimum C1 grade. Okay, and that's the only programme that we require that you must have accounting for. But generally what we would say to you is, if you're in TY now and you're thinking about taking your subject choices next year, if you think you're going to pursue business, it would be a good idea if you could take accounting as an option. If you can't, don't worry, we start at the beginning and you'll catch up, but it would be beneficial to you if you have that option available right now. So the next question is, are accountants rich? And that's again something that there's an assumption made that we are well paid as a profession, and generally we are. So this findings here come from the Chartered Accountants Ireland Leinster survey in 2020. So the average salary package for accountants in that region of Ireland is about 110,000 per annum. If you're newly qualified, you're starting, depending on whether you're newly qualified in industry or coming from practice, but on average, newly qualified start somewhere between 62,500 up to about 70,000, depending on where you start. Okay, and post-qualification, 5 years post-qualification, the average salary is 91,500. So that's not bad. Within a short period of time of leaving university, you will be on a very good salary. So that there's good, I suppose, outcomes in that, in terms of your investment in your education there. Are accountants in demand? Yes, and I suppose what we would have always said is accountants are in demand in good times and in bad. And we certainly found that through the recession from 2009 onwards, that accountants continued. It didn't really hit employment in the area of accountants. Accountants tended to still be employed and be necessary in the marketplace, and I suppose we expect that to continue. So on average, the big four accounting firms, PricewaterhouseCoopers, KPMG, PwC and Deloitte, between them in Ireland, they hire over 1,200 graduates a year. We have over 40,000 qualified accountants in Ireland and nearly 17,000 student accountants, and that's working in all areas and countries as well. So your accounting qualification is a qualification that can travel. This slide I've just taken from the Graduate Recruitment Survey from 2020 from Grad Ireland, and it just shows you basically the average salary and the ranking for salaries or the ranking of employment of graduates in 2020, and obviously that was an unusual year, but the average starting salary for a graduate in banking or investment banking financial services is about 30,000, and for accounting and financial management, so maybe in practice or in industry, is just over 27,000. But if you look at the overall graduate recruitment in 2020 from accounting, banking and financial services, it accounts for about 36% of all graduate recruitment, and generally we're in around that area. I have seen that up as high as 40%, probably when we were in the depths of recession, where other areas fell off, accounting held stronger, but it's always around there or thereabouts in the late 30s, early 40s of percentage. So significant area of recruitment really. Again, just showing that average of the salary of graduates with degrees, we're talking about, I suppose, from accounting 26 up to 30,000 area on graduation from our programmes. Are accountants happy? Now that's what the more difficult one to answer. How is anybody determined to be happy? I suppose one of the things we look at salary, yes. We also look at hours worked. So this again is coming from the survey from accountants in 2020. So you can see working less than 30 hours or between 31 and 35 hours is a very low percentage, just 8% in those brackets. 40% say they're working between 36 and 40 hours. A quarter are working between 41 and 45 hours per week. And another quarter are working more than 46 hours per week. So what we would say is it is a hard working sector, and you do tend to put the hours in. Now that can vary depending on the time of the year or the time of the month. So if you're working in practice, it might be very busy around tax season, and then it might be quieter during the summer months. And this with audit, it might be very busy around January, February, around the year end dates as they conduct audit, and comes quieter later in the year. If you're working in industry, it might be very busy for a couple of days at the end of the month when you work longer hours, and for the rest of the month it's fine. So there is a variation in the hours that you work depending on the task that's been undertaken. So are accountants happy? Well, they certainly good career prospects, and I think that's always important, that you're entering into something that you think there's going to be something for you there at the end. So yes, they're happy in that certain sense. It's a very gender balanced profession, so in terms of students taking business programs, it's usually about 50% male, female. In terms of employment, that also follows through, so it's very gender balanced. Different industries, there's lots of opportunity to work in different industries, so accountants are required, as I've said, everywhere, and generally it's a well-paid profession. In terms of the things that make us unhappy, yeah, that it is hard work and it is long hours, and depending on where you work, what sector you're in, whether you're working for yourself or working for someone else, it certainly can be long hours, and that's not for everybody. So that's something that you probably need to consider as well, and talk to other accountants about it. We also obviously teach finance, so we have the finance stream within our Bachelor of Commerce programme, which you can choose to follow. If you're following finance, what distinguishes finance from accounting? Well, with finance, it's all about the funding of an organisation. So you're going to work in the area of banking or in corporate finance, where you're raising debt or equity for an organisation that maybe wants to grow and expand. You might be dealing with the whole area of treasury, where you're managing money, where you're managing currencies. It could be portfolio management, where you're investing in shares and bonds on behalf of your clients. You could be working in the insurance sector, where you're dealing with risk, or you're working in the public sector. You might be working for the Revenue Commissioners or the Department of Finance. So those are all areas that lead into finance. So finance really is all about funding for organisations and managing funds into the future. In terms of what we teach in finance, we'll teach business finance, which is all about looking at the time value of money, making decisions now and looking at their impact into the future and planning for the future. And that's a core subject area that students will study in accounting as well, but you'll study it in more detail in the finance streams. You'll obviously discuss or study banking law and taxation, because they'll have implications on the decisions that you take. You'll study money and banking and economics of financial markets. And again, a lot of these subject areas are optional under the accounting stream as well. So if you're interested in a career in accounting or finance, what should you do? If you're at the point where you're maybe in TY or 5th year and you're still not sure, it's a good idea to look for an internship or a placement with an accounting firm. So, you know, look at your local environment. Are there practices close to you? Could you ask to get experience for a week or 2 weeks? But while you're there, then make sure you talk to the people that are there. Ask them what they do, what their hours are like, what their holidays are like. Be careful how you ask people about their pay. They can be a little bit, don't like to discuss pay in Ireland, do we? But certainly it's always good to talk to people who are doing the role, whatever that role is, to get a good idea about it. Chat to any one of the accounting and finance disciplines. Certainly we're available to talk to you and are only happy to answer your questions. And then with regard to deciding, I think I might want to do accounting, but I don't know. Well, you don't have to make that decision with us if you come into our commerce programs until you hit 3rd year. So, you know, if you know you want to be an accountant, then become accounting might be the route you want to go. But if you think and you're not sure, then definitely BCom is the route, and wait until you're further down the line to make your decision. And with regard to Chartered Accountants Ireland, CPA, Institute of Taxation, you don't have to make those decisions till further down the road again. So your first step is really what you're looking at now, and whether or not you want to pursue a career in accounting and finance. So I'm just looking at the time. I've gone over by 1 minute, but just to say that I'm here to answer any questions, and I'm happy to take those questions now. I'm just going to stop sharing my screen now, because I know that's the next thing I have to do.
Thank you, Mary. That was great. A lot of insight as well, exactly what accounting actually entails studying here at the J.E. Cairns School of Business Economics. Just keeping in time as well, I'd just like to pass over to our next speaker as well, Dr. Owen Whelan, who'll be speaking all about business information systems here at NUI Galway. So the floor is yours, Owen. So whenever you're ready, if you want to just start presenting there now. Thank you.
Okay, good morning everyone, and as Mary did, I'd like to welcome everybody to this session as well. So it's great to have such large numbers, so hopefully you'll find these sessions very interesting and you get some useful information from them on your future careers and particularly what you want to study in university. So my name is Owen Whelan. I'm a lecturer in Business Information Systems. So I'm going to be telling you all about what Business Information Systems is and what kind of subjects do you study and what kind of a career can you hope to get out of studying a degree in Business Information Systems. So first of all, just to explain what Business Information Systems is. So it's quite simple, really. If you have an interest in digital technology and you have an interest in business, well, then Business Information Systems could be a subject for you. So Business Information Systems is all about using digital technology to it's all about trying to figure out how all these great digital technologies that we have at our disposal, how they're affecting individuals and businesses and society at large. And what can we do to make sure that those technologies are actually used in a way that adds value to everybody? So if you have an interest in technology, I'm sure you're all on Instagram and Snapchat, you probably play video games, so you know how all these technologies work. If you want to figure out how they can be applied to organizations and society to make things better, well, that's what Business Information Systems is all about. It's all about understanding the technology, how it works, designing different technologies, designing apps and things like that. But then thinking more about, well, how can we use this technology to make things better? How can organizations, how can businesses use these technologies to add value to what they do? So if you have an interest in digital technology in business, this will be a good subject for you. So in terms of myself, so I started off, I did a degree in accountancy and finance, as Mary was talking about earlier. When I started working as a management accountant, I got exposed to digital technology, actually evaluating technology, implementing those systems into an organization. And I found that's what I really enjoy doing. I loved seeing how the digital technology worked, how it had an effect on the company, how people used it, how it changed things. So I decided that was the route I was going to go down, and I went back and did a research degree and a PhD and ended up as an academic in BIS. So a lot of my colleagues in BIS would have the same kind of a background. They would have worked maybe for a couple of years out in industry and started to do research and came back in and are now working as academics. So in Business Information Systems, we have 13 full permanent members of staff, and they would all have industry experience. They'd all be out doing research projects with various different companies. And the great thing about that is we're able to bring those insights from industry back into the classroom and discuss them and share them with students so that you're getting exposed to the latest trends in digital technology and how they're affecting business. So in terms of Business Information Systems, we have our own undergraduate degree in Business Information Systems, a BSc in BIS. So it's a 4-year program. So over that 4 years, you will study these 3 areas essentially. So BIS, when you study it, it's a combination of business subjects, of technology, actually designing the technology systems, and then actually figuring out, well, how do you manage digital technology? How do we come up with a strategy to make sure that our company is actually using digital technology in an effective way that's going to add value and make us a better company? So that's what we mean by technology management. So just to run through some of the subjects or courses that you can expect to do under these different banners. So in terms of business, you do the general business subjects. You learn about management and strategy, accountancy and finance and economics, because that's an underpinning for every organization. You have to understand those particular areas. So in combination with the business subject, you will also do the nuts and bolts of technology, actually designing and developing information systems. So that can be apps or databases or designing websites, multimedia applications. So you get exposed to a lot of application development over your 4 years on the degree. So application development, databases, web development using multimedia, the latest technologies to design websites and apps. So you get exposed to all those different areas. The third stream then is actually managing that technology. So in today's world, organizations, they're crying out for people who have skills, who understand technology and understand business, because they need people who can manage that business for them, or those technologies for them, to make sure that they're actually adding value to their organization. So the type of subjects you would do under technology management would be things like managing digital transformation. So if you think of the world now and the whole pandemic situation, and it's been totally transformed by digital technology. So for example, us here today, normally we'd be meeting on campus, we'd be having an open day, or everyone be meeting face to face. We can't do that. We're very reliant on technology and digital technology. And that's the same for a lot of organizations. A lot of their traditional business has moved to the digital world, and they need people who understand digital technology, can actually manage that for them. Cybersecurity is very important in today's world as well. The great thing about digital technology that it enables information and data to move very quickly and swiftly around the globe. The downside of that it can potentially get into the wrong hands and people can steal funds and money and things like that. So being able to protect information from people who want to do harm or get access to it, you learn skills in cybersecurity and digital forensics as well. So digital strategy is all about coming up with plans and strategies to try and make sure that when a new technology comes along, that your company can actually understand and critique and understand what it does and actually implement it in a way that's going to add value to the organization as well. So they're the core areas of business information systems degree. So our degree is a 4-year program. In your 3rd year, you actually go on placement. So we organize for you to go out and do work experience. We work for companies like Google and Facebook and Cisco and Dell and Intel, and we organize that for you. And that's a paid placement. You get paid to work for those particular companies. And that's great. You get to apply all the knowledge that you learned in your degree. You get to apply that in real life situation. And very often what we see that when students come back from placement, they have a far better idea of what they want to do as a career. So they might realize they got exposed to maybe programming and they really like that, working for a company that's doing programming and implementing new applications, or they might get involved in a project advising or doing systems analysis or something like that, and have a far better idea of what they want to do. And in a lot of cases, the company that took a student on in placement will actually give them a contract. So as soon as they graduate, they can come back and work for the company as well. So that's an overview of what a BIS degree is. I should also say that on the BCom, the Bachelor of Commerce, we also have a stream in digital technology and management. So you can also, if you're interested in business and technology, you don't necessarily have to do the degree in BIS. You can also do the BCom and then pick to do the BIS stream as well, where you get exposed to a lot of these areas as well. Not so much on the programming side of things, but certainly on the management of technology. So what kind of work or what kind of questions are people in BIS concerned with? What do we occupy our time with? So just some examples of that. So you might hear a lot in today's world about how new technologies are totally changing the way the world works. So we hear a lot about artificial intelligence, about machine learning, how some people are going to lose their jobs, how it's going to create work in other areas. Well, this is typically the work of BIS. When new technologies come along, we would have the skills and the knowledge to critically assess that technology and see, well, is this technology genuine, or is it all hype? Does it have the potential to transform a particular industry or change business models? And if so, well, how do organizations have to react to make sure that they exploit this technology, that it's not going to wipe them out, for example, or it's not going to take over their business model? So that's typically a type of project that we would do in BIS. We would assess a new technology, actually figure out what does this new technology do, and how can we exploit it to make sure that it's going to add value to what whatever area that we want to exploit it in. So to give kind of examples of that, over recent years, you would have heard of new technologies or companies emerging up like Airbnb and Uber, who have been called disruptive technologies, that it might, like Airbnb might disrupt the hotel industry. When Airbnb came along, now people can book their own apartment in a city if they want to go away for a weekend break or something like that. They're no longer dependent on staying in a hotel. Well, that's fine, but now hotels, that's threatening their business model. So they have to figure out, well, how do we respond to a potential digital threat like Airbnb? How do we change our business model? How do we use technology in a way that's going to add value to our customers? How do we outcompete and outmaneuver Airbnb? So they're typically the higher level questions that we would think about in BIS. I should also say that a lot of our graduates actually go on to set up their own startup companies. So they might want to be a company like Airbnb, where you threaten the business model of a large incumbent company. So we actually actively support that in BIS. So some of our graduates, they'd go off, they'd work in industry for 2 or 3 years, they'd get an idea about a new technology or a startup company that they want to create, and they would go down that route and set up go down their own entrepreneurial adventure. So in BIS, we actively support our students to become entrepreneurs. We have our own computer labs, and one of those labs is turned into a collaborative space where students can come along and work together on projects, even if they're outside their course, if they're extracurricular, even better still. And we actually have a fund, a budget that we allocate to students who want to work on their own startup company or startup idea, for example. So just to give you an example of some of the projects or ideas or how companies are using digital technology. So let me give you this example from a comedy club in Barcelona. So this business, it was in danger, it was relatively successful, but the Spanish government brought in a tax where any entertainment clubs, people who went into those clubs had to pay an extra €15. So as a result of this new tax, the business was in danger of shutting down. Footfall had totally declined. So the business that thought about, well, how can we use digital technology to make sure that we survive and actually enhance our business? So what they decided to do is they put tablet, iPad type devices on every seat. So they didn't charge people to go into the comedy club, but their business model changed. That when you went to the comedy club, the iPad would have an app on it which would scan your facial expressions, and they had made a deal that if you laugh, every time you laugh in a comedy club, you pay 50 cents, up to a maximum of €15. So as a result of this, it totally changed the business model for this particular comedy club, and footfall increased dramatically, and they were able to use the digital technology in a way that not only saved their business, but it enhanced their business and made it even more profitable for them. So that's a good example of the type of work BIS people will do. You look at new technologies and how they can be used to improve your business model and change your business model. Yeah, so some of the other work that you might expect to do as BIS, so we hear a lot about cybersecurity and data breaches in today's world. Technology is great, it allows information to move around the world in seconds, but sometimes people can get access to it, get access to your bank accounts. We all do banking digitally nowadays. So actually protecting that information and data, whether it's your bank accounts, your employees' details, your customers' credit card details, companies are extremely concerned about this, so they want people with skills in cybersecurity, and that's something that you would get from a BIS degree. You'd learn the technical side of how to secure information, but also the strategy side of it as well. So in terms of careers and jobs, the good news is that every organization in the world relies heavily on digital technology, and it doesn't matter what industry or what company or what country, there is always a demand for people with skills in IT and business. So I'll just have some news clips from the media in recent days. So the IT sector is on the rise, particularly as a result of the pandemic. Lots of businesses are turning towards digital technology to transform their business model, and they need people who understand technology and business, and hence the reason why BIS graduates are in such demand. The same, or another recent report, if you look at what jobs and skills will be in demand in 4 or 5 years' time, information and communication technology comes out on top. So people who understand analytics, who understand digital technology, cloud computing, gaming, all these areas, you get exposed to those on BIS. Yet the Irish Times had a recent article on future-proofing in a pandemic-hit job market. And it's interesting to see the kind of areas that they predict will be very important in the coming years as a result of the pandemic. So data analytics, that's definitely something that's important. We cover that in BIS. So that's all about taking a large data set and being able to mine that and find patterns in it and use that information to make better decisions. Evolving IT security threats, again, cybersecurity, how do you protect information to make sure that it stays in the right hands, whether it's bank information or patents or trade secrets or employee details or customer credit cards. And as well, a lot of companies need people who can design web-based services. So having skills in programming languages like Java and .NET will be seen to be very important. And those two technologies, we cover those in the first year actually of the BIS undergraduate degree. So you will get exposure in designing web-based services using those technologies. So how are we doing for time? Okay, nearly there. So yeah, just to give you an insight into some of our graduates, our alumni, and where they ended up as a result of doing their BSc in Business Information Systems. So Mary Casey graduated about 3 years ago, and Mary works for Deloitte. So Deloitte are obviously a big accountancy firm, but they also have a consultancy angle as well. So Mary is a consultant, a senior consultant within Deloitte. So today, typically what technology consultants would do, so a client would come along to Deloitte, maybe a bank or something like that. They might be worried that their valuable data could be getting to the wrong hands, that they want to make sure it's protected. So then consultants, technology consultants like Deloitte would advise the bank on how they can go about securing all their valuable information. What technologies do they need to implement? What strategies and plans do they need to adopt to make sure that all that valuable information is protected? Diarmuid Murphy is working over in Seattle or just outside Seattle with a company I'm sure you've heard of, Microsoft. So he is the senior business planner for the gaming strategy for the Xbox. So Diarmuid actually started off designing video games in the Xbox genre and ended up moving more towards the strategy side of things. So actually designing, coming up with a strategy for the Xbox, what games are they going to produce, how are they going to compete with Nintendo and things like that. So obviously a very interesting job that Diarmuid has over in Microsoft. Kathleen Garrity works for Google, started off working up in their Dublin headquarters and got a promotion and moved out to their Googleplex in San Francisco in Silicon Valley. So she's the leading community and social engagement officer for a number of Google applications. So again, very interesting work as well. And finally, Martin McDonough. So Martin works for a company called Smartbear. So Smartbear design what are called APIs, application programming interfaces. So basically, if you want to get two systems to communicate together, you need something called an API. It's like a translator essentially, and that's what Smartbear do. They produce or design a number of different APIs so different systems can communicate with each other. So Martin was based a long time in Galway, their headquarters in Ireland, and got a promotion recently and is now out in Melbourne. So yeah, just on time. So that's me. So if you have any questions, you want to find out any further information about BIS, you can just look us up on the website, contact me or contact any of my colleagues. We're only too happy to help you out. So thank you.
Thank you, Owen. That was fantastic. I just say now as well, we have our first break now as well. So we have a 20-minute break. So if you all want to, stretch your legs, grab something, grab a cuppa as well. And we'll meet back here again at just 11:10, and we'll be met with Professor Paddy Gillespie, who'll speak all about economics here at NUI Galway. So we'll see you in a bit. So hello everyone, welcome back. I hope you managed to stretch your legs, get a cup of tea in that. I'd just like to welcome our next speaker of the day as well. So we're joined by Professor Paddy Gillespie from our economics discipline as well. He's going to speak all about economics, studying at third level and what it entails. So Paddy, the floor is yours if you'd like to take over here now.
So thanks very much, Gareth, and good morning to everyone. I think it's always good to get some caffeine or sugar before you talk about economics, so we've timed this quite well. So this morning I'm going to talk to you about studying economics at NUI Galway, and I'm going to frame this in the context of two questions. The first is really about what economics is, and the second is what economists do. And hopefully by addressing those two questions, I'll give you a sense of what you might come to study if you choose to study economics at NUI Galway. And then beyond that, I suppose the skills that you'd be equipped with and the career pathways that would be open to you following your degree and your specialisation if you're so interested in economics. And importantly, on that final point, it is clear that, and it's important to note that not everybody that studies economics has a career as an economist. But the skills that we look to equip you with while you study economics are valued skills that are applied in a whole range of different careers, both in the public sector and the private sector. So I know sometimes there's big pressure at this point to know what you want to do and where you want to go when you're thinking about your career beyond completion of secondary level. But I think just to reassure you that through the study of a program such as a commerce degree, that you can learn and learn new skills and learn about the potential pathways that you want to take afterwards. And this is very much the case when you're studying economics. We show you the potential routes that you can take after studying the degree. So start with that first question of what is economics? Well, in terms of a definition, it's a social science. And like any science, you're trying to learn a little bit more about how the world around you works. And in particular, if we think about economics and the study of economics, we focus on maybe three key questions. The first is, well, how do markets work at a micro level? So, if you think of any good or service, and if you think of the economic activity relating to that good or service, well, how do individuals behave with respect to those that demand a good or service and those that supply that good or service? So today we're having a conversation about potentially where you might go to experience your third level education. And you can think of education as a good or service. And if you think of the market in which it is supplied, well, if you come to NUI Galway, this is a publicly owned institution. Finances are provided by the state that are raised by the government through taxation of us as citizens. And somebody somewhere has made a decision that education will be provided in that way. So we apply theoretical models to explore why is it the fact that certain goods and services such as education and health are predominantly provided by the public sector, funded by the government through taxation, for example, and other goods and services such as those when you walk down the high street, when hopefully we'll be able to walk down the high street again and enter shops and purchase goods and services, why is it they are provided by private entities and they don't have a large government role? So there's really interesting questions to explore with respect to how business operates, with respect to how goods and services are provided at those individual market levels for those individual goods and services. Beyond that, then, when you want to explore and review the activity within all these individual markets and you combine them together into a single entity, you want to explore then how the economy overall is working. So all these individual markets form part of the overall economy. And again, we study that in macroeconomics. And we look at how we can measure that performance, and we look at how we can judge that performance. And we look at the ways economics has done this historically and looking into the future when we, I suppose, are changing our view of how we judge how the world works and how we would like our economy to serve its citizens. We can look at how maybe we can measure these performance indicators in the future. And then in addition to that, there is a key role that the government plays both in individual markets and in terms of the economy as a whole. And we study the role of the government as to, first of all, when and where it should intervene in individual markets or in the economy as a whole, and the types of interventions it might want to employ. And importantly as well, we can look at how we could evaluate those policies to see if they work in the manner that we want them to work. And if we just think of the COVID pandemic, and each evening we turn on the news at 6 o'clock and we hear about the government's role within the economy and how it's making decisions that are impacting directly on how individual markets work, whether people can go to work or not, how they conduct their work. Are we all working from home at the moment? But also looking at the supports that they provide to ensure that people have the income they need to survive in this current situation. So all these are economics questions, and we have a whole range of tools that we can employ to explore these questions. And I think that's what you can expect to study if you're studying economics at third level, and that's very much how we pitch our modules in economics at NUI Galway. So moving on to the second question, I suppose, and this relates to, I suppose, the skills that we look to introduce you to and equip you with when you study economics at NUI Galway. And I've kind of framed these again in two ways. I think there's a whole range of theoretical tools that economics presents, some of which I think work well, some of which don't work so well, and I think it's important to acknowledge that, and very much we present you with this critical view of the discipline of economics, but we will introduce you to and equip you with these skills. So how do you think about a particular problem, and how do you think about coming up with the solutions to particular problems? So the types of problems that you might think of relate to, human behaviours. If we think of health economics, for example, you and I am sure, I know I certainly do, and engage in lots of maybe not perfectly healthy behaviours. Why is it the case that I maybe don't engage in the healthy behaviours I should engage in? And thinking about ways we can help people make healthier choices. Those behavioural decisions are all economic questions, and economics could play a role in help us thinking about how we can address those. As I've mentioned already, we have a whole range of theoretical tools to help us explain and understand how individuals work and operate in particular markets for goods and services, and as in terms of the performance of the economy overall. So lots of theory around that. And again, theoretical models for exploring the role of the government. So why is it that the government intervenes in the provision and finance of certain goods and services, such as health, such as education, and why in other instances does it not intervene in the same way? So if you want to purchase a new computer or iPhone or some piece of technology, well, you have to step up and you have to provide the funding yourself in terms of your own income to purchase those goods and services. But for third level education, you will make a student fee, obviously, and contribute, but you won't pay the full price. The government pays a portion of that. So these decisions have been made and they can be informed and explained by theoretical models. In addition to that, empirical methods are key to the discipline of economics. So what I'm talking about is mathematics, quantitative statistical methods, econometrics, data analytics. These are very much core to the discipline of economics, and we introduce you to these methodologies because we employ them in our day-to-day work and in our day-to-day practices. And those people who study economics at degree level, at master's level and PhD level, very much they focus on upskilling and learning and developing these really core empirical methodologies, both for exploring relationships of interest. So if you want to examine the effect of a particular policy on an outcome, or you want to evaluate a particular policy in terms of its impact, in terms of its value for money, cost effectiveness, and other criteria, well, there's a whole range of skills in economics and methods in economics that you can employ. And I suppose when you're studying economics and you're thinking about the skills that you will acquire through the study of this discipline, it's these theoretical and empirical methods that should inform that thought process. And importantly, I mean, we've got a team of lecturers here at NUI Galway that would be on our teaching staff that'll teach you economics in the classroom. And very much they take these theoretical tools and these empirical tools and they employ them to do research on a whole range of important economic, societal, business and public policy questions. So you can visit our website at NUI Galway, look at these staff members, and I just have a snapshot here of some of the types of research that these individuals conduct in areas such as climate change economics, environmental economics, agricultural economics, health economics, financial markets and finance, macroeconomic questions, fiscal policy questions. So the important point is this: the core skills, those theoretical tools and those empirical tools, can be kind of honed in and focused on particular questions that are important to society. And you as the individual with those skills, you can take them and apply them in a particular area that you're particularly interested in. So we've got people that work in marine economics, environmental economics, health economics, macroeconomics, financial markets. And essentially these lectures are taking their skills and kind of shining them and honing them and focusing them on particular questions within these areas. And I think what is really positive about and important about how we approach the teaching of economics at NUI Galway is that these people will take these research projects and these tools into the classroom, and you'll see how they've conducted this work, and you'll see the results of this work, and hopefully you'll see the impact of this work in terms of changing public policy or changing how we operate as citizens in a particular society. So moving on then to, I suppose, how you can study economics at NUI Galway. Well, there's two main channels, one of which is the business channel. So if you take a general commerce degree or a related degree, economics is one of the core subjects that you would take within that degree, and in final year, as my colleagues have said, you would choose a stream or a core major, and economics could be that subject. The other channel is the arts channel. So in that case, you would obviously in an arts degree, you again have a selection of subjects, but it's you that has the choice, and economics would be one of those choices. And I've listed a whole range of different pathways within those broad channels that you can study. But the key point I want to make is this: is that we start from first principles again when we're presenting and teaching economics. So if you haven't studied economics before, that's absolutely fine. We start from that position of the assumption is that nobody has studied economics before. So that's a key point to make, and I think the commerce stream and the related programs is a really good pathway if you're thinking about studying economics through at NUI Galway. Importantly, regardless of the pathway you take, your economics degree is equivalent. So whether it's a BCom or BA or some other form, the economics subjects are equivalent, so your economics degree will be viewed equivalently depending, no matter what pathway you take. And importantly as well, we have a handbook up on our website. The link is here. If you Google economics NUI Galway, we have an undergraduate handbook that details all the individual modules that you would take in each year and the different choices that you might have. And I'll point you in the direction of that, because that's a really good resource that gives you a real sense of the pathway you would walk through your degree here at NUI Galway. And just bringing things to a close then, I guess, you know, an important question for you, I'm sure, is, well, where can a degree in economics take you? Because it might be a subject that you're studying now, or perhaps you're not studying now, but it's a subject that may interest you, and you'd like to study it in university, but you don't really know where it might take you. And I think that's an important question, an important issue. And there's no clear answer, in the sense that if you study accountancy and you take accountancy, you could become an accountant. That's not necessarily the case when it comes to economics. But I think the key point to make is that there are a wide range of career opportunities available for graduates with a degree in economics, both in the private sector, in the business community, but also in the public policy sphere with government agencies or other such avenues. And the important point is this: these different agencies and the in the public sector and the private sector, they do very much value the skill set that you would acquire by studying economics. These key analytical, theoretical tools to think through problems and identify their solutions, but also those key technical skills, those quantitative methods, statistical methods, data analytic methods, econometric methods that we teach you. They're very much valued because those types of tools are very useful in the career environment. So if you think about those core skills and what they are, I've just listed a few of them here. Those critical thinking and problem solving skills, those quantitative skills that I've mentioned, the IT and software skills to undertake these methods, and importantly as well, the ability to communicate and to translate maybe sometimes technical information in a way that individuals can understand clearly. They don't have those skills, be it policymakers or business managers or others. And I've just listed a whole range of career opportunities in general business and in the public sector here below. And we do keep an eye on our alumni, and here's just a selection of, places they've ended up. I won't go through them, but if you just look at some of the graphics, you'll see that some of them are very much business, financial markets, finance. Others are more public policy places that provide evidence that inform decision making at the government level. And those are the two real channels and pathways that you can take. So with that, I'm just going to draw things to a close. I hope I'm still on time. And I just encourage you to, have a look at our website or reach out to me and my other colleagues if you see our email addresses up there. If you have any further questions, we'd be more than happy to talk to you. So I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and thanks for your attention. And I hope to hear from you, and hopefully hope to see some of you in the classroom in the year ahead.
Thank you, Paddy, for that. I know our next speaker is coming on at just past, but we have a few questions here in the chat. I'm wondering as well if you might help. So one question, we've got a few questions already coming in as well, which for transition year students, 16-year-olds they're asking if you have an interest in stock markets, would economics be a good option to look at?
Absolutely. So as I mentioned, there's a whole kind of a sub-discipline of the overall subject of economics that focuses on financial markets and stock markets. So taking these analytical tools, these empirical tools, and a lot of what we do is, you're sitting in front of a computer screen, you're learning these statistical software packages that can make the predictions and the forecasts that very much inform decisions that people make when it comes to stock markets, when it comes to financial markets, when it comes to finance. So that whole kind of range of careers under that broad heading that the question relates to, very much that comes under the banner of economics, but it's a very broad banner. Yes, absolutely, economics is a subject that would focus on those questions.
A very positive to hear as well from our transition year students, all 16 and so, and they're speaking about stock markets already. I can remember when I was 16, that wasn't the forefront of mind. So we might have some great economics students coming in shortly to university in the next 2 years. So it's amazing to hear that. Great. I'm not sure I can remember when I was 16, but but absolutely. And I think if you think of Ireland and if you think of there's a really core and strong kind of financial sector, one of the leading financial sectors in Europe. And, those people that work there, a lot of them have skills and training and undergraduate degrees in economics. Mm-hmm. Brilliant. Fantastic to hear. Well, I know we're just a minute or so ahead of time, but I might just maybe move on to Denise Holland as well. Just she's speaking on the discipline of management. So we'll just give her a few seconds there just to put it all together. But thanks, Paddy, as well, just for coming together on all this and speaking on the economics discipline. We've had many questions here in the chat all about economics, so it's definitely a very, very popular subject coming for students as well. So thank you for your time as well. So if you have any final words just before Denise gets ready.
I'm on. Gareth.
Oh, ready.
Very good. Thanks, guys. Good luck, Denise, and all the best.
Thank you. Okay, Gareth, and I know we had a test run this morning, but I have internet issues. Can you see my screen?
We can, of course. Yep.
Excellent. Okay, so welcome everybody. I believe it's been a great session so far, so I'm delighted to be representing the discipline of management. My name is Denise Holland, and incidentally, I'm an alumni from NUI Galway, where I did my BCom many years ago, before most of you were born or your parents. Anyway, so bear with me now, I'll get on to my next slide. It isn't moving, Gareth. Controls.
Just click on the PowerPoint just once.
I'm doing that.
Now, just bear with us 1 second, folks. Just a small bit of difficulty
Here, you have a copy of the presentation. Perhaps it'll be easier. It won't move for me at all.
Bear with us 1 second, folks. Denise, if it's suited to you as well, I can share my screen as well. I can go through the slides for management.
Yeah,
if that
I
might be better
think
suited.
that would be better, Gareth. So if you can go to slide 2, if you don't mind, and apologies about this.
Yep, just 1 second. So if David just behind the scenes can maybe stop sharing Denise's, if that's.
My screen's completely locked, unfortunately. Excellent, I can see that better now.
Yeah. Now,
okay.
After yourself.
Thank you. So if you just move on to slide 2. So, excellent. So, before I dig deeper into the different streams within the management discipline, I thought I'd share with you, well, what's management and what's it all about? And again, when I was trying to figure this out and how to simply, define this for you, I actually drew on my notes from NUI Galway when I was an undergraduate, and it has stuck with me. And really, management is about a set of principles relating to the functions within an organisation of planning, organising, directing and controlling, and then the application of those principles in harnessing the financial, the physical, the human and technical resources in an effective and efficient way in order to achieve organisational outcomes. Now that sounds like a mouthful, but ultimately it's about managing all of the resources in order to achieve management outcomes or organisational outcomes. So we have, and I've listed 3 streams here. There's the human resource management, there's strategy in innovation and people management, and there's international management. And your BCom can culminate in any one of those masters. So slide 4, please. Slide 3, please, Gareth. Yeah, so when you're doing the BCom, if you wish to pursue one of those management streams, you can either choose the HR stream, which also feeds into our strategy, innovation and people stream, and our international management. So HRM, why study it? Well, human resources make up 85% of a company's costs. So they're the most potent and valuable resources to an organisation. And they're usually called the collective human capital. And how an organisation's workforce is managed is a critical element in an organisation's performance. And human beings are inherently fragile, they're all different, and they have different motivations. So by taking the HR stream, you'll be taking a career that works for and with people. And human resource management is about recruiting and selecting. It's about onboarding, it's about developing, and it's about retaining people and all that good stuff that helps deliver value for an organisation in terms of its organisational outcomes. And we cover all aspects of human resource management theory right through employment relations, leadership, strategy in human resource management, right through to in your 3rd year, where you'll be looking at contemporary issues. And by studying the HRM stream, it's a clear pathway, assuming you achieve the academic requirements for entry level. It's a clear pathway into the Masters in Human Resource Management. Then the international management stream, and this is quite interesting in terms of, in 21st century business, we are working in a much smaller global environment. most organisations today have global reach, and even local and regional organisations have such diverse workforces that you're dealing with multicultural and diverse elements of business. So in international management, we also help develop the global mindset of our students. We give them opportunities to immerse themselves in projects that give them exposure to a diverse range of organisational culture and national cultural contexts. And by taking the international management stream, that provides you with a pathway into our Masters in International Management, which won the 2019 Best Postgraduate Programme Award. So moving on to slide 4, Gareth, I want to go into a little bit more detail in terms of the subjects that you would study in order to go through one or other of these streams. And in first year, the core subject will be management and enterprise. And this is a really interesting one because it gives you, it starts with strategy and, how an organization adapts to the external environment. And it introduces tools of strategy that helps the student make sense of that huge external world and how it affects an organization. The management and enterprise top module also looks at, organizations as cultural entities. You'd never think of culture and organizations together, but you're looking at organizations being made up of a myriad of different diverse individuals, functions, both externally facing and internally facing. And it's a really interesting 101 subject to get kick-started into the management stream. Then in second year, you study organizational psychology and employment relations. And again, organizational psychology will focus on the organizational culture because it's seen as a collective set of values. And you'll be looking at organizational psychology in terms of, how do people act, think, and react within the workplace. So it gets into a very nice, interesting aspect of managing people. It looks at workforce or workplace communication. Probably, and I don't teach on this topic, but workplace communication is tied in with what we call psychological contracts. Really interesting topics that actually helps us understand people. And if you heard how I defined management in the introduction to the session, we were talking about, planning, organizing, directing and controlling, so there's a huge part of that where you're motivating people, you're leading people, and you're also managing people. Then employment relations, and this is led by Dr. Deirdre Kern. So this is about, how we manage the employment relationship within organizations. There's a big emphasis on, the relevance of trade unions in modern day employment relationships. It looks at workplace conflict because, again, if you heard what I said initially when we started, human beings are inherently vulnerable and different, and they don't all respond in the same way. So, conflict is something that needs to be dealt with. And in your employment relations module in second year, you will deal with that and how the Workplace Relations Commission helps in resolving conflict. And Deirdre also looks at alternative conflict resolution, which is much more modern in today. And there's an element of employment law as well in terms of the Unfair Dismissals Act and the Equality Act. So then in third year, you do business strategy, and these are the core elements. And business strategy is integral to every commerce student because, and I say this even though I'm a HRM specialist, everything starts with strategy. And if you understand how strategy affects the organization and cascades down into all the other different functions, then you have a broader snapshot. And this is as important to the HRM stream as it is to the IM stream. So then let's look at the optional streams over second year and third year. So there's a little bit of overlap. So in terms of the HR stream, you study in more depth and more detail human resource management. What is it? How do we use it? And what are the theories and how can they be applied? And there's many, many different frameworks. Again, you'll go into more depth on employment relations in terms of, the rights and obligations of the employees. There's a lovely subject called Contemporary Issues in Work and Organisations. And this is third and fourth year. module, and we change it, tweak it every year to reflect contemporary issues that are in the domain of human resource management. And to give you an example of this year's, and I just wrote them down, the topics dealt with were justice and fairness in the workplace, the recruitment of the right people and talent, conflict management, precarious work environments, and one very dear to my heart, people analytics. And then there's a subject called HR in practice. And this is really very much an applied module where you get a chance to, you know, apply the theory in practical settings with tutorials supporting that. And then the IM stream looks at taking on work in a global context. And I used to teach on this one, and work in a global context takes the view from a multinational organizational perspective and looks at the management of a multicultural environment and how it links to internationalization of companies as they grow beyond their own headquarters. Say, for example, an Irish company that decided to internationalize, and they may have subsidiaries in the US, in Brazil, in France, or wherever. And what we teach on that module is, you know, how do you manage such a diverse multinational workforce? So we look at organizational culture, national culture, we look at frameworks in which how you can dissect an organizational culture and how to help onboard such a diverse range of cultures within a multinational organization. We also teach international business, and this would be Magella Giblin, Johanna Clancy, and it's about, as I said, internationalizing an organization, you know, entry requirements. It's not my topic, so I won't say much more on that. And then there's ethics and corporate social responsibility. So these are very interesting, cutting edge, modern topics that can be applied in the real world of work. So if we can move on to slide 5 there, please, Gareth. So, you know, there's always this huge debate as to what do managers do and what do they need to be able to do. And I borrowed Peter Drucker's quote, and I'd actually borrowed it from my colleague who presented this 2 years ago, Dr. Magella Giblin. And he talked about managers and providing, and I'll talk through this quote because I like this quote. You know, management, it's a process of creating opportunities. It's about realizing potential, both of yourself and your employees. It's about removing obstacles, encouraging growth, and giving guidance. So it's almost, you know, being everything to everybody. And I want you to set that in your minds. It's a really interesting place in terms of from a career advancement perspective. You know, managers lead, but they also plan, direct, and control. And there's a really interesting number of career paths that you can go through the discipline of management. And if you move through to the next slide, slide 6, we talk about our alumni. And this is just really a very small snapshot of where our alumni are working, you know, and they go into streams. Well, let's talk about the HRM stream. Many of them go into the recruitment and selection careers initially to get a step into HR. Many of them go into generalist roles through graduate placement, but many of them take on roles in other disciplines that allow them to get a sense of how an organization works and then go into HR. In terms of international management, oh wow, we have people in stockbroking firms, in the central bank, in multinationals, the likes of Google and Amazon and Facebook. So there's a myriad of different careers you can take. And for example, I've had one of our alumni give a talk at the Open, the postgrad Open Fair, and he's now into currencies and funds. And I've had another alumni who's actually gone into learning and development for an internet company. So it's quite a broad spectrum of organizations. And what I would urge you to do, and if you go to slide 7, please, Gareth, you know, if you decide to do the BCom and take one of our 2 main streams, you know, my strong advice to you would be to go to your lectures. You know, even if they're remote lectures, go to your lectures, because you have an opportunity to engage on a one-to-one. You know, we have what we call safe, protected environment, whereby you can share your thoughts, your reasoning, your opinions, and ask questions. And it's quite important that you feel comfortable and safe. And it's a great way to learn. And get to know your lecturers for the right reasons. You know, engage, attend, submit your submissions on time. You know, don't be afraid to ask questions. You know, another piece of advice that I would strongly recommend is understand your own style of learning. I know many of you are in transition year or leaving cert, you know, and there's a style of study that you do for that type of exam. What I would urge you to do is figure out what works best for you, because that will be the springboard within which you start your academic life within university. Explore the options, you know, but also the university has some significant support mechanisms. So we have an excellent health unit, we have counselling, we have the Access Centre, and we have an absolutely brilliant career advice service. So, you know, tap into them and use them. Get involved in extracurricular activities. And, you know, I'm an alumni, and as a first year, I got involved in the Commerce and Economics Society. I was very shy. I felt I was backward, and I didn't know anybody. It was a great way of getting involved, getting to know everybody, and actually developing my own personal skills. So, you know, find out what you'd like to explore that you haven't explored before and get involved. And my last piece of advice is make friends and have fun. I mean, the friends that I made back in the 80s when I did my BCom are still my friends and still my network. I enjoyed my BCom tremendously. I had a great social life. I had an equally great academic life. So, you know, embrace it, enjoy it. NUI Galway is a fantastic university. So if there's any questions, I will take them.
So thank you, Denise. Anyways, it was amazing to hear from that as well. And I think I can speak as a Bachelor of Commerce graduate, you know, having that introduction to management was massively beneficial. Although I didn't specialize in management in final year, you know, in any industry you go into, you will be dealing with management as such. So, and in certain modules, for example, that we learned, for example, like employment relations that you spoke of, you know, as a graduate who's going to start off, you know, the career ladder, you know, to hear about all, you know, the employment relations, all my rights actually in joining the workforce as well, I think is massively beneficial to myself and any students in the course itself. So I'm just going to check as well. We have a few questions coming into the chat as well all about management as well. We might be able to answer a few. Just bear with me 1 second. So we have one as well here. Just what branch or area would you have to study to take or get into management among charitable businesses, or to create charity events to raise money or charity businesses?
That's an excellent question. You know, the principles, and so just can you repeat the question again so I picked it up correctly?
Yep, exactly. So it's just what branch or area would you have to study or to take on to get into management among charitable businesses?
Well, it would be the same streams. I would recommend either through the HRM stream or through the international management stream. Charities are becoming global now as well, and I'm actually affiliated to a charity. The skill sets that you require for organising and managing within a private sector are equally applicable in a charitable environment or NGOs. So as you get to your third year, you know, I would strongly suggest you sit down and you have a chat with the module coordinators to see what best fits the career you want to develop. But I mean, the skill sets are a good baseline for any career, regardless of whether it's charity or in the private sector or the public sector for that matter.
And it's actually a very relevant question as well, because I remember only 2 weeks ago or so, our human resources class reps are actually involved in a charitable event with Galway Simon. So we actually provide as well that kind of intro to involve with charity businesses along with the teaching as well. So it was an amazing event hosted by our HR class reps that raised, you know, a tremendous amount of money for the Galway Simon community. So it was fantastic.
Could I add to that, Gareth?
Yep.
In the I think it's third years do the ICE program, and last year the students volunteered to create projects around fundraising for charities. And I know the charity that I was affiliated with, they raised over €1,500, and they were very creative. So So to answer, further answer that student's question about, preparing to work in the world of charity, this really gave them a feel and a sense for what the requirements were, because part of that, I had to go through, the directive and the law with respect to collecting for charities. So it was a huge opportunity for learning.
Brilliant. Yep. Thank you. I think that answers the question that's coming in there all about charity, working in charity and HR. It really preps them for if they go into that side of business and side of human resource management. So I'm just going to keep to our schedule as well. I'd like to thank Denise as well about all of her help today as well and presenting all about management discipline at NUI Galway. I'll just move on to our next speaker then.
Technical difficulties.
Went seamless. I don't think anyone, it's perfect. Don't worry about it. So I think we're just going to move on to our next speaker then again. So I'd just like to welcome Dr. Elaine Wallace, who'll be speaking about marketing, all about studying marketing here at NUI Galway. So whenever you're ready, Denise, if you want to take over the floor.
That's great.
Or Elaine, sorry.
No problem at all. Thanks very much. And hi, everybody. My name is Elaine Wallace, and I'm a lecturer in the marketing department. I did a BCom myself many years ago, and I specialised in marketing. I didn't think I was going to specialise in marketing when I came in initially, but I was fascinated by the subject. And then I went on and worked in marketing in many roles, brand manager in companies such as Boots and SmithKline Beecham as it was then. And I've worked in companies such as Unilever and then came back to lecture in NUI Galway. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about marketing as a subject, but also about the subjects that we study at NUI Galway when we study the marketing stream. And I'll give you some of my advice in relation to careers and talk to you about some of the projects that we work on, just to give you a good flavour of what marketing is like at university. So first of all, I suppose, to explain what marketing is, and I know people have an idea of marketing from the real world, but people often think of it as just selling or advertising. And certainly advertising is a big budget spend that companies have when they get involved in marketing. But it's really about how you engage customers, how you get them connected to your business or what you offer, and then how you build really strong relationships with those customers. So what you want is you actually want to retain your customer. You don't really necessarily just want to sell something if it's not in the customer's best interest. You want to build a connection with them so that they want to engage with your business. And then we try to create customer value in order to capture value in return. So when we talk about value, we don't mean value for money necessarily. We mean the benefit that the customer gets from what they buy. So it might be that it allows them to feel more sporty because they buy a sports brand that they love, for instance, might make them feel more fashionable. Maybe they buy a car because it helps them to feel safe or helps them feel that they're driving a safe car for their family. And for these reasons, maybe we offer something distinctive, and the way we communicate that to the customers through marketing. And what they give us in return, obviously they buy our product perhaps, but they may be more loyal to us, or maybe they offer really good word of mouth to their friends, for instance. So that's really what we're looking at, is this idea of value and what the customer connects us with us for. So the top marketers have this goal, which is put the customer first. So put the customer at the heart of what they do. I suppose, without wishing to sound corny, given that we are marketers, when we teach marketing in NUI Galway, we consider the students as our customers in a way. So we prioritize the students and the student learning. So, you know, in all marketing, if marketing is good, they definitely prioritize the customer over anything else. And that's why we're sort of cautious when people talk about selling. It's very different. And some academics even say, if you get marketing right, you don't even need to sell, because customers really want what you offer. So I'm going to talk a little bit about what you might understand as the marketing mix, and then how we teach marketing in NUI Galway. So you think of the marketing mix perhaps as the 4 Ps, and maybe you study this at school. We talk about place, which is how the product is delivered to the customer. So now, because of COVID, a lot of people are buying online, for instance. So place can be in your own home, you buy online and it's delivered via courier, or it might be the retail environment where you shop in the store, for instance. We talk about the product. So what actually is the customer buying? If if you think about that idea of value, what's the benefit the customer gets? So back in the day, marketers used to say, you know, somebody doesn't buy a drill, they buy a hole in the wall. So they're buying a benefit. So what we teach students is think about the fact that the customer is buying something that has meaning for them, and that's the product that they buy. So what's the benefit that they get? It can be a physical product, it can be a service, for example. So price then is the amount that the customer is going to exchange for the good. So often that's a monetary amount, and we look at pricing strategies and whether we should offer, for instance, a premium pricing strategy or a low-cost strategy, and both could be correct. It can depend on the type of product that you're selling to the customer. And then we also consider promotion. So promotion is how we communicate with our customers, but it's a little bit broader than that, in that we tend to segment our market sometimes, different types of customers. We tend to target different customer groups, and with those different customer groups, we might have positioning, and so we've different messages. So just to share a nice example of that, which shows how marketing works in the real world, and this is a recent example from Nike, where they've launched their sneakers app, and within this, they have created almost a massive demand for small volume or hard to get runners. So this is for people who are fanatical about runners and they want to have the latest design. And so one of the examples that they had recently was the launch of the Air Jordan 1. And this was in a special color called University Blue. I believe this is like a Cambridge Blue, Cambridge University. But this really was a sellout. This dropped in stores or dropped availability online in March, and it was gone within hours. So when we think of the traditional marketing mix, people think about the store, they think about the price, they think about the product, but now we have to think about digital as well, and very much how we connect with these customers in ways where I suppose we speak to them within their own ecosystem. So if they're on their phones, this is a way for companies to reach customers. So when we teach marketing, we consider these new aspects and how they feed into the traditional marketing mix. So some questions that we tend to ask in marketing, just to give you an idea, and then I'll link them to the subjects that we teach. So for instance, how do consumers make choices about the phone they buy? So here we have an Apple iPhone. Some of you may have one of these, or you may have a different brand, or you know, you're familiar with these brands. And so we also think about how do we measure consumer attitudes. We need to understand what consumers think so that we can, for instance, target effectively, so that we can communicate with customers in a way that they will understand and appreciate. So we need to understand our customers. Why, for instance, are companies such as Apple so powerful? Why Apple is the #1 brand in the world? I'm just taking them as an example here for illustration, but why are they doing so well? So we break down the idea of a brand and why brands perform well. What makes a brand powerful? Imagine you wanted to, in 10 years' time, set up your own business. How would you create that powerful brand? Remember, all these big, powerful companies started in someone's garage. And how did it become so successful? So we look at these types of questions. We look at, for instance, how companies such as Apple, how did they design the retail experience? So I believe in 2020, Apple had 510 retail stores. So within one of our subjects, which is services marketing, we look at how we deliver a service experience to the customer, and how, for instance, store layout and how we design that and how employee performance helps to create something different, so that customers keep coming back, because, you know, service becomes a very important part of the marketing activity. We then look at the marketing communications. For instance, what messages would be compelling for Apple customers? How would we measure media effectiveness? How would we know that advertising or social media activity works, for instance? How do firms contribute to society? So what good do companies do? How can they do good? So Apple, for instance, define themselves as a carbon neutral company. And we look at strategies around sustainability and how companies can do this and still align that with their other business goals. So, you know, companies want to do good and consumers want to engage with customers who do good. And what strategies can Apple and its competitors follow to make sure they're successful? So we have, for instance, cases in marketing, which is a module that we teach in third year, where we look at optimal strategies and break down the strategies that companies engage in. So marketing in NUI Galway, it gives you that theory as well as practice to start in your marketing career. So we engage a lot with businesses. We engage a lot with companies who come and speak with our students, and also through assignments, companies work with us so that they get practical experience, the students get experience on working on projects to better understand the theory as well. So it's a really super module area if you want to specialize in marketing for a career, or even if it's an area that you think you can add in terms of having a business career. So these are the types of subjects that we offer. So in our stream, we have, for instance, consumer behavior. I've addressed this in terms of how to understand what consumers think, media and marketing communications. And within that, we think of the traditional media like TV advertising, but also digital, because obviously social media marketing is so important now. The marketing of services. So how do we engage through services such as retail, but also banking, for instance, or hospitality and leisure. Brand management, this is one of my areas. As I mentioned, I was a brand manager, but we study how you create powerful brands and within different industry sectors, such as retail or services or online or digital, for instance. Global marketing, so how we interact with an international market. So we consider, for example, issues such as culture and how we can get into new geographical areas while being sensitive maybe to market needs in those areas. And cases in marketing, I've mentioned, there's a super module where we actually present students with real cases and they break it down in terms of understanding the strategies involved and the best courses of action, and also digital planning, because obviously a challenge with social media now is also to understand how best to organize campaigns like that, but also how to measure that whether they work. So, you know, if people are searching online on Google for your business, for instance, how does that translate into effectiveness for marketing? So, for instance, does it translate into your share of voice, how people are talking about you? But also, we have great postgraduate programs. So I know it's a little while away for you, but it's no harm to be aware that your options in marketing go on to postgrad as well. So we have 3 taught MSCs that I've mentioned here, and the 4th one on the slide is marketing practice, which is where students are actually based in a host company in the region of 37 weeks, and then they come back into us. So all the time they're mentored by the university, but then they come back into us for workshops as well. So these are super ways for our graduates to go on and to get further learning and also to get great experience. So what is it like to study marketing in NUI Galway? Well, there are a lot of experts in fields. For instance, the 3 of the textbooks that are taught in this area are authored by colleagues within the discipline. Myself and 2 other colleagues have different textbooks which help to actually develop the subject areas. We also work a lot with companies, so you get real world linkages. We have super linkages, and part of the reason is because our graduates go on and do so well professionally, and they like to come back then and work with us to train further graduates in the area of marketing. When you leave the discipline, and when you leave rather the degree, you are career ready. And you have a lot of skills, and I think I'll show you some testimonials from our graduates that would show you that that's something that they would feel is the case. So just to give you an example of the type of work we do, and there was a great question come in at the end of the last talk about charities. Well, we worked last year with Goal. As you know, Goal are a humanitarian aid agency, and they've done invaluable work in areas where there's conflict or there's disaster. So they've worked in Syria, for instance, and Haiti. So they obviously align as well with the Sustainable Development Goals of the World Health Organization. So we feel it's really important that even when we're studying marketing, it's not all about, you know, promoting consumer goods through retail. It's also about understanding how we can do good in terms of, for instance, enhancing consumers' engagement with charities and enhancing maybe how they will give their time to charities or create awareness for charities. So what the students did here, and this is a nice image of some of the students from last year, before we closed down due to COVID, unfortunately, but this was earlier on in the year, and they worked with Goal, and the Goal came down to the university, and we worked with them to look at their brand and elements of their brand, such as their logo and the slogans and colours and so on, but also their digital marketing activities. And they looked at, you know, promoting, understanding consumer attitudes about digital marketing at the moment, and also their awareness of certain Goal events and developing ideas for a strategy for marketing for Goal. So Goal had fantastic feedback for the students. They were delighted to work with them, and they've come back and they've engaged with us since as well. So I think it's a nice example, and maybe it's kind of timely given the question we had with the end of the last speaker as well. So you can see you do have opportunities to learn a lot with these degree modules in relation to not just the more traditional products, but also, for instance, NGOs as well. So just two other examples of projects in marketing in action. This is one of my colleagues' research. She's involved, Dr. Christine Domigan is involved in the Peatlands and People project, and this is a project that's been funded just under 10 million by the EU, and there's sort of three parts, if I may go forward here, looking at a centre of excellence to look at peatland ecosystems, and an accelerator programme looking at low carbon and circular economies and how that will support the region, and also a people's discovery attraction. My colleague is involved in particular in terms of Pillar 3, really trying to engage people in relation to highlighting the power of peatlands to affect these climate action wins. So I think it's a lovely example of marketing in action. And when we work on these projects as academics, then this type of insight goes back into the teaching, so the students learn about what's going on as well. So it's very cutting edge in that way. Another project I'm directly involved in myself is on social media, and I'm sure lots of you use social media, but we know that about 1.8 million people in Ireland use Instagram regularly. And what we were looking at is the fact that Instagram was hiding likes from followers on a trial basis, and we wanted to see, did that actually help people's well-being, because Instagram were saying that actually it did. And so we did some research, and I did this in the States with some colleagues from Spain, and what we found was, yeah, actually when you get more likes on social media, makes you feel a little bit less lonely, because it shows that there's people out there who are reading your posts, but it actually makes you feel more uncomfortable because you become acutely aware that people are looking at your social media. And so, for instance, this was picked up in the media recently, that, you know, it can make you less lonely. So this was all research, and we talked about this with RTE as well, in terms of whether what we do on social media reflects what we do and think offline. So when we work on projects like this, we then bring these projects back into our lectures. So when the students are studying, you're studying the theory from great academic textbooks, but we're also adding to that with our own research as well. So this, for instance, would come into the brand management modules, and students would learn more about social media there. So in terms of your career, every organisation needs marketing, and it's a wonderful career. Saying that from someone who's worked in industry in marketing roles myself, companies such as Unilever, AIB, Google, Connacht Rugby, Enterprise Ireland, these are employers of our graduates, and they're not the only ones. We have had tremendous success with our graduates and the experience that they've had. Types of roles that they may have, for instance, corporate or PR, working from small businesses right up to multinational corporations in areas such as medtech, pharmaceuticals, technology and electronics, Also in media and advertising, lots of students on open days say, do you get a chance to work with advertising? And I would say absolutely yes. And often you're the client, so the agency is working with you and for you. Digital and social media, but also in areas such as hospitality and tourism, fashion, sport, culture and the arts. So the opportunities really are endless, and the types of roles you can work in: marketing executives, client communications, marketing managers, brand directors, digital strategists. Again, these are not titles I'm plucking from the air. These are titles of actually graduates that have gone on to great roles within marketing. So 2 students have created some testimonials that I've just presented here, and the first one is Sean Higgins, and he's talked about the fact that he learned so many valuable skills, not just the theory, but also working as part of groups, juggling workloads and deadlines that helped him settle into his first marketing job with minimal effort. And the second testimonial I'm presenting here is Anne-Marie O'Toole, and she's a marketing manager with Kingspan. And she said that the skills were unleashed, that she learned that she's using now, they were unleashed while studying the BCom. And just to pick up on one comment that she has here, which is that the case study work that she did in her final marketing stream was a great lesson, not only I suppose in terms of what she learned, but also in time management. So last word from me, and these are some of our graduates, it gives you great opportunities to do a BCom in NUI Galway. Couldn't recommend it highly enough. Choose what you love. It's very important because this is going to be your career, and you'll always be learning. So keep an open mind and try all of the modules, go to introductory talks and see what you like. You might find it's something different to what you expected when you joined, just like I did. Marketing is a great area of study and a great career option. So I would just conclude by saying the very best of luck. I wish you every success. I look forward to seeing you in a few years. Thank you.
Thank you, Elaine, for that. It was really great to hear. And I think, as speaking of myself as well, as someone who specializes in marketing, it truly is a great thing to go into as well. And we'd just like to thank everyone as well for listening in on that. So just say very well with time as well, Elaine, just exactly on the button as well. So we're just going to take our second break now. So I'll see everyone back at 12:30 just for a small little cahoot about everything that we went over today. So stretch your legs, grab another cuppa, and we'll see you back at 12:30. Thanks, everyone. So hello everyone, welcome back. I hope you managed to stretch your legs, get a cuppas, and get a bit of bite to eat as well. I'd just like to thank all of the speakers that we had on today in each of the disciplines. I hope you found each talk very informative, and you got lots of different points and answered all your questions about studying business and commerce here at NUI Galway really means. I just thought for a bit of fun today as well, maybe we could quiz ourselves about all the different things that were talked about by all the different presenters today. So if you have our phone with you today, I'd just like we can move over to Kahoot, and then we can answer a few questions, nicely fun questions about today, and maybe we might learn, if any missed anything as well, we might learn a few things as well. So I'm just going to go share, and I'm just going to go over to Kahoot. So we're just loading a game pin here now. So if you have your phones ready, so we just say it there now. So 580-3436. So if everyone has a Kahoot app, I'll give you a few maybe moments as well. Just we need to download, or you can play obviously as well on that on www.kahoot.it. Now we're just waiting to see if any players join in here now. Oh, a few all joining here now. Brilliant. Fantastic. Now, numbers going up very quick. Volleyball here, TikTok star. Paul Pogba, fantastic. So we'll give plenty of time to let people in as well. Flying up, racing. Canada as well, the entire country. Plenty coming in, plenty coming in. So we'll just wait until the numbers start to flatten out a bit, and then we'll start on that. Seven. Plenty more coming in now. Some creative names definitely showing up. So I'll just give it another maybe 20 seconds or so to get the last people in to join. 378. So I think the numbers are starting to die off now here as well. So I might. Oh, still a few joining here now. 386. I think that seems to be a lot there. So we'll give it a start anyways. We'll count it down, maybe 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. Oh, late surge. Now, I think I'll give it a start now. We have people joining now, so can't wait for everyone, unfortunately. But again, I'd like to thank everyone for joining us today. So with that being said, hope we remember some of the stuff that we talked about as well. So what does the JE stand for in J.E. Cairns School of Business Economics? James Edward, Jack Edwin, John Elliott, Joseph Ernest. 6 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2. We'll have to be quick. So John Elliott, yes, most people went for Jack Edwin, but unfortunately, no. John Elliott Cairns is the right answer there as well. So just need to be quick on them. So we'll go on to the next question now. And Adam Mack, very quick on that one. Baked beans as well in second place. Can he cash up? So what accreditations or awards have the J.E. Cairns School of Business and Economics been awarded? Five, 4, get them in. 3, 2. All of the above. Usually that's a good sign for all of them, but yep, we have all of these accreditations we've shown here as well. Athena Swan Bronze Award, Association of MBAs, and AACSB as well, the global award as well, which is seen as the pinnacle of business schools as well. We've recently been awarded that, so we have all of these accreditations that we've been awarded. So let's see as well, how does that change? Adam Mack, still same again, top. Can someone next question get him down? So which famous politician once attended NUI Galway? Leo Varadkar, Michael D. Higgins, Micheál Martin, or Joe Biden? Joe Biden obviously saying he has roots in Mayo, but did he ever attend NUI Galway? Michael D. Higgins was correct there. A good few people went for the Joe Biden thing. I hope I didn't speak that up as much. I didn't sway your answers, but yes, the correct answer there was Michael D. Higgins. Studied arts here at NUI Galway, and he was even the student union president as well during his time here. So let's see how that affects the results. We have a new leader. So Adam Mack there, drop down there. We have a new leader with Jessica. So congratulations, Jessica. Can you hold out to the end of the quiz? So who stars in the 2016 American action film The Accountant that Mary Barrett showed earlier? See if anyone can work it out there just by his jawline alone. Last 5 seconds. Ben Affleck, yes. So a few people thought Matt Damon. I very regularly get them mixed up as well. I think that, a lot of the same movies, they are best friends in real life, but the right answer there, Ben Affleck. So let's see what that does to the scores then here. Jessica, same again there, on top. And we have Top Tick as well. Must be a new app, I haven't heard of that one. But we'll move on to the next question then as well. So true or false, accounting, banking and financial services made up for 18% of all graduate recruitment in 2020. So did it make up for 18%? So yes or no, true or false? If anyone remembers, how much did accounting, banking and financial services make up for all graduate recruitment? Oh, more went for the true there, unfortunately. No, it was actually double that. It was over 36%. Accounting, banking and financial services made up for 36% of all graduate recruitment in 2020. So an incredibly large number there. So congrats to those who went with false. Jessica on a hot streak there. Streak of 5. Can someone get her down? We'll move on to next. Yeah, so what does BIS stand for? This might be a tricky one here, but who remembers exactly? Dr. Owen Whelan earlier. Business Internet Service, Business Inspection Specialist, Business International Studies, Business Information Systems. What do we think it is? Business Information Systems. Yep. So a lot of people there went for Business International Studies. Unfortunately, this time not correct, but I can see why a lot of these you might think stand for BIS. Quite a tricky one here now, but unfortunately the correct answer there was Business Information Systems. So congrats to the 34 that got it right. See if Jessica's still on it. So round 7 players lost their answer streak of 3. Talk tick back up. We still have Jessica in the lead though. Can someone get to the top spot? So roughly how many students study economics in first year? If you remember Paddy Gillespie speaking earlier. Is it 800, 600, 300 or 500? So who remembers? So all students, all business students in first year study economics. So that might be a small bit of a hint. Yep, over 800 students study economics in first year. It's in all students who study business here in first year study economics. So we have over 800 students studying economics in their first year. And as we said as well, all subjects are taught from beginner level. So it's really great for someone who may not have studied economics in Leaving Cert. They can pick it up in their first year, and it's all taught from beginner level. So it's very easy to pick up in your first year. So let's see what that does to the scores here. Jessica still in the lead there now. Toctic as well, familiar as well, but very, very close here. 4479 to 4458. Can Toctic get in front here now? Just a few more questions left here now. I believe we've. Yep. So what does the R stand for in HR manager? So a small bit of a hint. The H stands for human. So are you a human review manager, a human resources manager, a human remediate manager, or a human rumble manager? Resources, yeah. A good few people went for rumble there. They're thinking you wouldn't get very far as a HR manager if you did a lot of rumbling around or a lot of fighting. That would kind of go against the grain. But yes, the correct answer there is resources. So we'll see exactly what did that do to the answers. Oh, we have a new leader here in Toctic. Jessica just pipped there at the end, but can't you come back to win it? And Rita as well, very close on the heels as well of Toctic. So let's see how that does there now. So what is the traditional marketing mix? Known as the 4 Ps. A lot of people answering quick. Is it obvious? 5 seconds left here now. Yep, so product, price, promotion and place is known as the 4 Ps, and that is the traditional marketing mix. Unfortunately, it's not promotion, psychographics, price and place. In this case, it is the standard traditional marketing mix is the yellow here, so product, price, promotion and place. So moving on, let's see, we're getting the last few questions here now. How does that change anything? So might all come down here to the final few questions here. Toctic still in the lead. Jessica in right behind as well, in 5, just a few points behind. So we'll see how this does it for it. Finally, true or false? I think we answered this in our chat as well, but students who haven't studied business, accounting or economics are at a disadvantage studying commerce at NUI Galway. Last step here. A lot of people went through there. That's incorrect in this sense. No, students who haven't studied business, accounting or economics at Leaving Cert are at no disadvantage studying commerce here at NUI Galway. The reason being for this is it's not a requirement for our courses, our programs to study business, accounting or economics at Leaving Cert. And you are at no disadvantage if you have not studied these and choose to study commerce at NUI Galway. The reason being for this is all of our subjects are taught from beginner level, meaning it's very, very easy for students with no prior knowledge of business, accounting or economics to pick these up in first year. I myself, as a Bachelor of Commerce graduate, did not study accounting or economics at Leaving Cert, and I found it very straightforward to pick up these subjects in my first year. This is largely because, the academics and the lecturers, they're top of their fields as well, and they've been teaching these modules for years, so they know exactly how to teach these subjects to students, for example, like myself, who have no prior knowledge of this as well. So how did that change any of the results on this last one here now? So we just have a poll as well exactly here. So how much did you learn today about commerce and all about business here in NUI Galway? I hope we learned something at least. If we all take one thing away from today, I'd be very happy as well. And hopefully going forward as well, that maybe we can influence as well to studying business down the line. Brilliant. That's exactly the answer that I like to see as well there. Unfortunately, a handful of people said not much, but outweighed here by a lot of people saying they learned a lot today. So that's fantastic on our side to learn that as well. Just to hear that each of you enjoyed and learned a lot about what studying business really entails in NUI Galway. So just the last few moments, I know that we're finishing off for the day. I'd just like to bring us back. So just after that, we have to go see the podium for the day. So number 3, Ada. Jessica in second. And congratulations to our winner, Top Tick. Jessica just picked out at the end of there. Very, very close here, as we see, 5406 to 5395. Very, very close, but we'd like to thank Top Tick for winning, but commiserations to Jessica and Ada as well for playing along as well. So I think I'm just going to go back to our screens as well. So I'm just going to bring back my camera here now. So I'm just going to go back and stop sharing as well, and hopefully the camera will be back onto me. And I'm just going to share finally these last few slides that I have. So as we've just seen there as well, we don't want some sound in the background. So 1 second. Yeah, that's a bit better. Now, so thanks guys, as I was saying, for tuning in today for our TY Taste today for the JE Cairns School of Business Economics. As I said earlier, it's a very, very clear day here in Galway, and and all of us at the school here would have loved to welcome you here on our campus to be able to open our arms and show you our beautiful, beautiful campus located here in the heart of Galway City. But I thank you all for joining in today virtually, and just here on the screen as well here, I'm just going to show as well just some of the courses we have available at undergraduate level here at the JE Cairns School of Business Economics. So as we can see here, our Bachelor of Commerce GY 201, a Bachelor of Commerce Global Experience, and then we have our different commerce degrees that involve international languages. So some of you may or may not know we have a Bachelor of Commerce specifically with French. So you pair that with your business degree with the French language, and as well as that, we have the Bachelor of Commerce German and Bachelor of Commerce Spanish. And then finally, Bachelor of Commerce Gaelic. So there are our 4 subjects involving a language, and each of them involve a study abroad year. And you will be placed, if you were studying, for example, our GY 202, Bachelor of Commerce French, you will be placed in a French-speaking university, and that is likewise for the Bachelor of Commerce German and Spanish. For example, if you were studying the BCom Spanish, you'd be placed in a Spanish-speaking university in Spain, Chile, Mexico, for example. And Bachelor of Commerce Gaelic is similar to that, although unfortunately, as you can imagine, we don't have any partner universities abroad that offer and teach Gaelic as a subject. So the 3rd year will be in that program will be spent in studying Irish studies in Carrow here in Galway. And then you can see as well our 2 specialist courses as well, our Bachelor of Commerce Accounting that Mary spoke about a lot earlier as well, and then our Bachelor of Science Business Information Systems, which Owen Whelan spoke about quite a lot earlier. And we'll just see about some people in the chat as well. They're asking all about different requirements for different subjects and different programs as well. So if any of you are looking at any of the subjects here and wondering are there any specific requirements for each program, I just listed them here as well. So as I said, a H3 in French is required for our Bachelor of Commerce GY 202 French program. So if you are looking at that and you're still looking at selecting your subjects for your Leaving Cert, and you're really looking at the Bachelor of Commerce French, I would really think about putting down, I'm sure many of you already have, but selecting French for that. Same exactly with our German course and our Spanish, and as well as that in Irish as well. And if any of you are looking at our specialist course here in Bachelor of Commerce Accounting, GY 207, a H4 in accounting is required. So moving forward as well, so just if you're looking for any more information about anything that was discussed or anything that was mentioned today, this will be recorded today and it will be posted online, and you'll be able to see everything on the NUI Galway website. And as well as that, you'll be able to see all of our course and more info about our programs as well on our website. For example, here we can see our course page for Bachelor of Commerce, GY 201. You can see it on www.nuigalway.ie. And as well as that, if you go onto our website, you'll be able to see our undergraduate prospectus for 2021. So both of these have all the information that we're looking for as well going forward, all about studying here at NUI Galway. But if any of you are looking for more information about anything that's taking on this year, for example, you can find out more on all of our social media accounts. I know many of you, as we've seen, are on social media as well. So I really promote maybe following us on each of our social medias, for example, on our Facebook, as some of you may have, definitely Instagram or Twitter, for example, at NUI Galway Cairns. If you are there, I'm sure many of you are on Instagram here as well. And any of our YouTube as well. We have many different videos on our YouTube channel about all about studying business here at NUI Galway. So our YouTube channel, JE Cairns School of Business Economics, there's many different playlists as well you can view, and all about studying our undergraduate here at NUI Galway. So I know we have a few moments left here as well. So I'd just like to thank everyone for joining me today, be it wherever you are in the country. Thank you all for all your questions today. I know we had many questions put in the chat here as well, but I'm just like to put up all the emails as well. So if any of you have any further queries, I just have email addresses there for business@nuigalway.ie, or my email there as well, garrett.davy@nuigalway.ie, and I'll be on hand anytime to answer any questions you may have. Mary Barrett as well, and Owen Whelan, Economics, Denise Holland, Elaine Wallace as well, all of their emails as well. But if you have any generic or specific questions about that, I'll be on hand to answer any questions as well. And I'd just like to thank everyone for joining us today. Like I said, you've been tremendous as well, and hopefully, hopefully this answered a few queries that you may have had, with regards to what subjects to choose for Leaving Cert. Hopefully we've swayed your decision, and maybe business at NUI Galway will be something you'll be looking forward in 2 years' time as well. And like I said, hopefully in the near future we'll have many different open days on campus that we can showcase the university. So if you see any of the presenters, at any of the open days in the future, make sure you come up to us, say that you've seen us today, seen us at the TY Taster that we had online a year ago or so, and we'll be happy to chat with any of you about any of the queries you may have. So I'm just going to go back out of this onto our camera and maybe see if we have any questions coming in. If not, we'll just wrap it up for today as well. Any specific questions, generic questions about studying at NUI Galway. So I'm just going to stop sharing for 1 second. And I'm just going to see if we have any questions finally coming in. If not, more than happy, if you're finished for the day, we can just start to wrap up as well. But if we have any questions finally coming in, I'll be happy to take any of the questions as they come in. So very nice things coming in here now. Just happy Easter. That was really helpful. Thank you so much. If I can scroll up, a lot of thank yous. So one question we coming in here just in late there is there a study abroad for Bachelor of Commerce Accounting? Yes, all of our undergraduate courses at the JE Cairns School of Business Economics offer the opportunity for students to study abroad. So it's a tremendous opportunity, and I would really recommend it to all of you to take that opportunity, because it's something that our alumni speak so highly about when they come back from their year abroad. The friends that they make, they're still in connection today. Some people I know, they're on constant Zooms and constant Teams with, you know, friends from all around the world that they met while studying abroad. So it's truly an amazing opportunity, and I would really recommend it to all of you. And a few questions here. Have a lovely Easter. Thank you, guys. Have a lovely Easter yourself as well. Thank you. Thank you. Well, I believe that's all the questions coming in. I'm not seeing any more questions coming in here now. I think we might wrap it up unless there's any more questions coming in. Oh, last few as well. So what was your favorite part of studying in business? Very good question. I think definitely the people that I met throughout my year, I don't want to see that's a bit of a cop out or something like that, but the people that I met in commerce and, for example, in NUI Galway, they've been my friends throughout my entire degree. I actually came to NUI Galway alone, so with no students from the secondary school that I went to. So it was a great opportunity to meet friends. It forced me to, you know, out of my comfort zone, and it was an amazing opportunity. So definitely the friends and people that I've met throughout my degree has been amazing. So that would definitely be the answer for that. And more thank yous coming in there now. So I think we might just wrap it up for the day. And so, as it says here on the screen there now, thank you for joining us all today. We hope today really inspired you to think further about careers in business, and have a great Easter from NUI Galway. So thank you, guys. That will be all the best now.